Welcome to another session. This is James Vidic speaking. Saturday morning, missed yesterday, so we're going to do today. And what I want to talk about is how selling online courses or building an education business is kind of like real estate, and why you should think of it that way, and how it affects all the stuff that you're going to be doing over the next little while as you start building and grow your education business. So, selling courses online, do you want to rent? Do you want to own? How do you pick your digital home? How do you pick where you basically have your business going? It's a lot like choosing where to live, right? You are wanting to create a business. You have to make that decision as you're starting out. How are you going to start? Where do you want to kind of call home to get started? So, in the world of online courses and technically education businesses, renting is like using software as a service. Now, if you're not familiar with SaaS or software as a service, it's kind of like the difference between renting an apartment, one of these tools, or purchasing your own house. So it's like you can rent a big building, an apartment building, or you can go to a neighborhood and buy like a single unit house or dwelling that you want to grow up in. And so let's break that down, see how it fits in, and see the decision you're going to have to make as you kind of get started with this. So let's say, for example, I'll give you an example of something that happens to many people, is especially when they're growing up, they're a little bit younger. I'm going to use age-related things, but just, bear with me on age-related things. It's all relative. But if you go back and you're a little bit older like I am, one of the things that you remember is, maybe you were at home, maybe you went away to college or university, or you went for some extra schooling, and you shared a space with some of your friends or buddies, and it was like you had a bed and a desk to work on. You didn't really have a lot of furniture or anything, but it was kind of a place to live, and it was a commune. You went in with a lot of other people often. You were just getting started. And then after you graduated, hopefully you found a job or found some kind of career to get started, or you started finding or looking for a place to work, and you kind of wanted to go out on yourself, and you started off by looking for a single place, or a place where you could at least host yourself or keep care of yourself. Or if you happen to be with a couple other people, but it's a place to rent to really start growing. And this is very much like when you're getting started building out your own house, your own business, your own online courses, and all the digital education material that you're into. So there's some real benefits to that, right? When you think about it, it's just like a real quick setup. When you go into an apartment, you got a modern apartment complex or a modern apartment, for example, you just go in, it's like a quick setup, right? You go up the elevator, you walk into your unit, everything is done for you. You have the fridge, the stove, you have all the pieces that you do, all of the housing stuff that you would normally have to go purchase. It's there in many cases when you go to rent from a newer apartment. Everything is just there. And things like maintenance, it's like you have your inside space in the apartment. Everything else is taken care of. Basically, you just got to keep the unit that's there that's clean. The other thing is you don't really have a lot of choices, right? It's like you go into an apartment building, there might be 2 models or 3 models of apartments, unit styles in that apartment, and it's like you just pick one. It's like you go, yeah, I'll take that one. This fits what I need today when I'm starting out. That's the one that I'll particular take. And you don't have to worry about the building. The building is taken care of. Your unit is your responsibility to keep clean. You don't have to keep care of it in terms of technical stuff. If a pipe breaks or something major breaks, it's like you're not responsible for it. You're just taking care of that. Now, the con of this, if you look at the particular house, or you're playing around with your rental unit, you get 3 units to pick from. You don't get 27 units to pick from. You have no choice, so there's no flexibility. It's like, what's in the apartment? This is your choice, and if you don't like it, tough luck, go to a completely other apartment. There's no choice whatsoever. The other thing is that there's often ongoing fees, and I was just kind of think of this as a story. So when you go to an apartment building today, often what happens is you have your rent, and then you might have to pay condominium fees, which are extra. So what are those condominium fees for? This is exactly the same as if you go to a software as a service, which is a rental apartment. And if you have a basic level, you get the unit. But let's say, for example, you want to have a weight room, or you want to have tennis courts, or you want to have these additional amenities. You got to pay extra for those. They don't just get included sometimes. It's like you have basic stuff and then you got to pay extra. This is very much like software as a service, where you have a basic entry level and then you have condominium fees, which are for all the extras and things that you would want to really, kind of enhance what it is that you're doing. So, these are the things that can be kind of worrisome when you're starting out in an apartment, but it's also the same when you're using a software as a service. And some of the softwares as a service, if you look at them, you might hear names like Thinkific, Teachable, Kajabi, School, Udemy. There's all of these different kinds of services that you can rent a space for yourself where you can get started. It's inexpensive to get started, but like the apartment building, you don't get much choice and you don't get any real chance to change the amenities. It's like you get the you pay your condo fees a little bit extra, but you're stuck from there. The other way I kind of look at it is, when we're doing this, you have to make the choice. Do I want to rent an apartment, or do I want to invest in real estate and do a self-hosted model? And this is the one that I recommend. And a self-hosted model is when you own the real estate that you're building your business on. And I'll give you an example of that. One of the things that we do here at trainingsites.io is we build training sites for people, and they're 99 times out of 100, they're built on a piece of software called WordPress, which is free software that we're in control of. It's our investment. It's our real estate. It's our house. And the great thing about it is, instead of having to rent an apartment, in this particular case, we're not doing a rental. What we're doing here is, instead of going to that building and finding the building that has a unit style that we like, what we can do is we can go over the entire city. And in fact, we could go a completely different city. We can go urban, we can go outside town, inside town, wherever we want, and we can pick a neighborhood that is one that we like. The other part is that we can go pick any house we want in the neighborhood. We don't have to pick from one building and pick one of the ones that's there. We can go anywhere that we want. And there's a lot more flexibility, not only when we're getting started, but more importantly, to grow into. And this is an example of kind of what happens. If we go back and take a look at you leaving home and getting started, it's like I only started with a bed and a desk to work on during school, right? May have had a couch and a game station or a TV, but that is all that we had when we're starting out. As you grow as a business, you may have a single course that you're starting from, but after you get going, you're going to find that you may have multiple courses. And after you do a couple courses, you may find that some people get really interested in what you're doing and they go, hey, can you do some live coaching with me? Or can you do some group coaching as people go through this course where we're going to have some blended learning classes back and forth? Or do you have any workbooks, or did you create any ebooks? Or do you have any software or other services that you created that I can purchase? And this is exactly the same that happens in real life, right? You start off at a rental unit, but if you add family members, your job changes, your requirements change. It's like you're adding furniture, right? You have now stuff for the living room. You need an extra bedroom. You want to make sure that you get a fancier TV, or you want to have an area for sports that's inside, not going outside. But stuff grows. You got more needs than fit the apartment, which you have no choice over changing. So you're looking at it and go, well, am I going to invest in this? You got apartment building, there's no investment to make. The only investment that you can choose if things are getting bigger is, do I want to move everything to a bigger apartment? And you're hopping back and forth the apartment based on what it is that you need. On the other hand, if you're going to invest some real estate, it's like, when you're starting out, it may be big enough for today, but am I going to be adding kids? Am I going to be doing a sports room or a media room, or do I need a separate living room or a dining room? So you have an opportunity to kind of pick the size that you want, that you're either going to grow into, knowing that you're going to be building your business so that you don't have to move each time. So that's the investment you're making. Is it an investment in today, or is it the investment in the future? Do I want to rent today and hop from place to place to place with my courses in my business? Or do I want to go and say, okay, this is my business. This is where I want to grow it. These are the things that I'm interested in. Am I going to go ahead and make that investment today and at least have the opportunity to grow into something as it changes? Because I own the land. I'm the one that can put whatever I need on it. Is it a single family home? Is it a 1-story, a 2-story? These are all choices that I can make because I've invested in my own real estate. And the real estate that you invest in when you're building courses, you kind of have 2 choices. If you have an existing business, or if you're just getting started. And what do I mean by this? If you go to invest in real estate today and you're going to purchase a single family home or a single family dwelling, kind of 2 choices, right? One is you buy a new build, which is a brand new house that isn't built yet, where you kind of get some feedback or choice on the amenities and some of the extra stuff that's put in. So you might want to do that, do a new build, invest in a new build. And then on the other hand, you might see a house that really has some potential, but it needs a little bit of TLC and some extra love. And you're thinking, how could I change this house or fix it up that it meets exactly what I need? Both of them are great investments, and this is exactly the same as when you're selling houses, or you're selling online courses or education material. If you have an existing business, what you might want to do is say, okay, my business is here and I've got one part of it, but I may want a new build for my courses only. So think of that as a new build, right? It's like I want a place for my online education courses and information business. I may have an agency that another service I provide, but I want a place for my courses. You may look and say, I want a new build for my courses. So think of that as a new build. You've got a complete flexibility on what's in there, how it looks, everything. On the other hand, if you are just maybe renting today to start off with, and you go, you know what, I really want to invest in real estate. I want to be in control. I want the flexibility. I'm going to have a website, and I've either bought a website for someone or I had an existing website that was about courses, and I wanted to just kind of fix it up. You can go in and you can add the plugins and pieces that you need to make it do what you want. And these are kind of, just quick choices. Do I want to rent and stay where I am and not really have control and not own the property and not have the ability to either grow it or shrink it? It's just based on what's there. On the other hand, do I want to purchase my little plot of land, my website, my WordPress website, and do I want to put a new one up on a new build where I own the land, or do I want to fix up one that I already have? So there's all sorts of pros and cons to these, and when you're getting started selling online courses, you may be thinking in the short term, it's really, really easy to go and get started doing this. So some of the examples that you'll find here, for example, is, when we're talking about some of them, there's a number of them available right now. One is called School that is very, very popular. Another one is Kajabi. There's Learn Worlds. There's one called Thinkific, one that's kind of popular here now. Do that one up. So these are places, apartment buildings, you can go in and rent. These are ones that, it's like you just, there we go. Get rid of this here. Thinkific, Teachable, these are places that are just specifically for your particular course. It's like you have your website, you have your business, but you just want that space for courses and you don't want to have to deal with anything. But this is just a nice place that you can go and put your courses up. So, they call it products. They have some of them now have a little bit of a website builder in them, but it's limited to what they have set up. They have a way for you to add one course or a couple courses. But again, the way those courses are displayed, the way those courses are integrated with other parts of your business, it's whatever features and stuff that are there. The other thing is when you think about these, you may find that some of these software as a service or rental units, you can think of it for like Kajabi, for example, is a good example of one, is where you have almost like an apartment complex, right? It's like you've got an apartment where you're in a building, you're in an apartment building. Some of them may have all sorts of extra amenities. They're in a complex. So you may find there's a grocery store, there's a local gym, there might be all sorts of shopping amenities are there, and they're right next to or right in your apartment complex. So some of the ones that you're starting, again, very, very simple, are using a tool like Kajabi, and I'll put the links below to these. A tool like Kajabi is just like an apartment complex where you can rent your apartment space, but you also have the ability to sell some of your other products and services, but it's as long as it's in the complex. You can't go outside of the complex, you got to stay in the complex. So this gives a little bit more flexibility for the rental one, but you got to pay extra for this, and more importantly, you're limited to the complex. You don't get to go to the other part of town. You don't go to get and pick all of the other different pieces that you want. It's like, here's the complex, this is where you got to shop, these are the options you have for shopping, these are the tools that you get to use, and you're not allowed to use anything else because you're stuck right within the complex. So these are all investments that you have to make or decide. And the long-term one is, when you're playing around with this, is kind of look at this and you say, what is the equity that I want to build? What is it that I want to own, or what is it that I want to own over time? And is it something I'm looking at selling? Am I looking at selling a domain name? Am I selling my content? How are the other people that my business is set up to do? Are they renting space in my apartment, extra space as members or customers? What do I want to do with them? What's my big goal? And you have to make a choice and decision. Am I going to do something short term and kind of get started with this? Or am I going to invest in the future and be in control of everything yourself? If you're kind of adverse to changes and you don't like changes, might be a good idea to just rent some space. It's like, I go up the elevator, I get in my unit, I really don't care what's there. I got 1 or 2 courses, that's fine. Use the software as a service. But on the other hand, if you know that you're going to be growing, you know that you're going to be changing things, you know that you're going to have lots of courses, lots of customers, lots of other tools and services, information products, a podcast, all sorts of different pieces to your business, and you like change, you're looking forward to it, it's like you got to invest in some real estate. You got to get your own website, your own training site, your own member site, and you're going to be in a position where you got your plot of land, and if you want to add a patio outside, if you want to build another room, if you want to put a fresh coat of paint on it, you're in charge. You can't do that in the apartment. You can do it when you own your training site. And the other thing is a responsibility. You have to really think about, how responsible do I want to be for the upkeep of my property? Is it something that I want to be able to, cut the lawn if I need to, or keep the pool clean? I have to either do it myself, or I have to hire someone to kind of take care of those extra things, but I have the flexibility to do them. If I just don't care, I never want to go shovel a driveway if you're where it snows, or if you want to cut the lawn, or if you want to have to clean out the garage, or those things. If you don't want to bother with that, just go do a rent, go do a software as a service. And again, just think of it as a property. Do I want to rent it, or do I want to own it? My personal belief is that you're going to, if you have more than one course and more than one course product, at some point you're going to want to to own a place. And that place may be small to start off with. You may be able to grow it if you need to, but you have the ability to add those additions. So I'm a big fan of owning the property, and more importantly, the content that's on the property. And that's something most people don't talk about. As you look at these apartment units versus the house, if an apartment unit is new at the start, you have no choice as to what different things get added to it, and sometimes nothing gets added to it. It's just the same old apartment that's been there for years. So does it get a little fancier? No, it doesn't. Does it fall behind compared to the other new apartments that are being built? Yeah, definitely. And when that happens, what you'll see is a lot of people get stuck when they're renting from one unit and they have it there for a couple years, and then something changes, so they got to try and pick everything up and then rent it another unit that's a little bit different, and then they got to try and figure out, how do I take the stuff that was in my first rental unit, how do I first of all get it moved over to the new rental unit, and how do I get it to fit or not fit? And if you've ever had to do a move in a rental unit or an apartment, It's not fun. Fighting for the elevator, trying to get everything in the elevator, getting downstairs to the loading room, getting a truck, getting the truck to move over, finding an elevator in the new one, getting all of the junk moved up. It's quite cumbersome. Exactly the same thing is when you are using the apartment or renting. If you have to move, which you probably will as things change, it's not as easy. On the other hand, if you own the land and you just want to change what the building is or the course and the platform that you're on, if you're using LearnDash, you own the land and you own the house. That's your equity. You're in control of all of your data. It's not someone else that has it. It's not you on someone else's land. It's you on your own. So if this makes sense to you and you're kind of thinking, okay, what am I going to do here? Which one should I do? Just think a little more long term. Think about how much control you want to have, how you want to look at fixing things in the future. Do you want some responsibility of doing this, or do you want to just hand stuff off? Again, all important questions over the long term. At trainingsites.io, I'm a huge fan and always have been a fan of owning the land, owning the property, owning the building, and having control over it. The one thing that I recognized getting started here is that there's a lot of people that wanted to own and they want to be in control, but they don't want to be the one that cuts the lawn. They don't want to be the one that cleans the pool. They don't want to be the one that shovels the driveway. And in fact, they don't want to be the one that adds the room or adds the other part to the building. They just want to have someone do that. And they may learn how to do it, but it still takes time, energy, and effort. So at trainingsites.io, we actually build training sites on your land using your house, and we put the additions. You can do it as a new build too. If you just want to do a fresh start, you've got some land, you want to put something new on, we do that as well. But if you're trying to fix up something, trying to figure out, put the pieces together, that's what we're here for. We'll do it for you and or with you. And we'll actually do a monthly basis where we can actually do the upkeep on your property moving forward. So that's our service. We have an agency service. On the other hand, we have courses just teach you how to do it all yourself. If you do have some land and you do like the fixer-up model and you're just having some fun learning how stuff works and trying different pieces, you can certainly do that. We'll help you do that. We'll make some recommendations, of course. It's up to you at the end of the day. But in the big scheme of things, I think owning is always better than renting if you're looking long-term and you're serious about having an education business. So this kind of stuff interests you, give me a little message below. Again, I'll put some links to some of the softwares as a service tools that I mentioned today. This is just an exciting time for creating info products. You've got all sorts of choices, but just think of this one more so than having a course. What am I going to invest in? Someone else's apartment or my own house, my own property, something that I'm in control of. This is James Maduke speaking, trainingsites.io. Hope you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe to the channel. If you have questions on stuff or topics you want to know about, let me know. We're doing everything we can to help you start, build, and grow your education business. Take care. Expect the best.